At least there's some. gonna come around?
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this public meeting to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last commissioners meeting?
Motion.
Second. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes have been approved. Opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items only. If anybody would like to get up and speak.
Commissioners, Bob Bolus, Scranton, on 240274. We brought up many times, I'm in total disagreement in the way the budget's been put together against the people in this community with a tax raise. When you've ignored what I brought up in the past, the university has violated the rule of God. They're a Jesuit university, and therefore their tax exemptions should be revoked, no more to Marywood, and only the chapels be allowed to be exempt. The hospitals should not be tax exempt. No way in hell should we be given a hospital tax exempt, because we don't get free medical. We don't get nothing back for us. It just goes in their pockets. And they got enough money to be buying out everybody all over the country. They should not be tax exempt. We should have a fire or a thing put in, legislation for fire or police, a safety type thing that gives us the same amount to charge them as though they were paying taxes. It's very easy to do, but they shouldn't be walking around here filling their pockets while they're emptying ours. The other part is churches should be exempt. The rectories should pay taxes. Okay, those are some of the things here that we do. You take the tax exempt. If we send the Scranton Police or Fire Department to a fire there, we should be charging them exactly what each one of these departments break down to. If a fire truck costs $500 an hour or $2,000 an hour, and it goes there, whether it's a false call or whatever, that's what they're paying, minimum 2 hours for every piece of equipment, everybody that goes. You have to look at other ways. Pre-8 was here. He laid out a whole agenda. I think this should be tabled and should be reevaluated and put the people of this community first instead of worrying about our political futures with the university. I went to the U many, many years ago. I could care less. The bottom line is we're giving them millions and millions of dollars so they could build buildings and take it out of the pockets of the people that are here. We have senior citizens that can't even afford to go to the grocery store anymore. Yet we want to keep raising taxes. We want to keep hammering them every single day. And this budget does not do anything for the people. Simple question, what type of vehicles do you drive?
Mr. Bolus, this is your time to speak.
I know, I'm asking a question. I'm telling you, take my time to answer the question.
It's your time to speak. No,
Drive an
thanks.
SUV at the expense of the people of this community.
That is not true. We do not have county cars.
Well, I'm asking a
Go ahead.
question. I asked you to answer it, that's all. Do you drive a vehicle from the county?
No, we do not have county vehicles.
Okay, well, that's an answer I was asking for.
You asked me what kind of car I drive.
I asked you if
a
you're
little
getting
creepy, if
anything
you
from
ask
the
me.
county. Okay, the bottom line is, Everybody has a way to earn the money. You got a guaranteed salary. You got guaranteed expenses. The people here look at you to guide them along the same lines, not where you're at, but where they're at, where the senior citizens are, the single mother, the single parents, where they have to go and what to do. This whole budget has to be taken apart. Listen to the people. Bolzoni, yeah, he's a paid assassin as far as I'm concerned. He works for the county. His bread and butter is here. Look at the people whose bread and butter isn't here. Listen to what they got to say. Those that live in the real world of what we got to live with. And I'm asking you to table this, look at it with an open mind, and listen to the people. Nobody up here has any more knowledge than the people who live in this world and live in this community. We saw what happened with the city. We got a mud pond up at Naog Park. We saw people get taxed in the city needlessly. We saw a lot of things go on, and it's carried over to here. We got to go backwards. Think how the city was built and this community was built, was by the people that sat in these offices way back then, and they listened to the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address agenda items only?
Len Dobson from Peckville, Pennsylvania. Good morning, gentlemen. I just wanted to take time and recap things. We've been through the meetings over and over again, and we said different things, but there are certain items that needed to be recapped that seem to have slipped underneath the radar here, so to speak. And at the beginning, when you guys first introduced your 33% budget, you said you weren't into the name game or blame business. You said previous administrations. We all understood that. They caused this problem. But nonetheless, in the same sense, I've heard certain words. I've heard stupid, lazy, coward, such words that just don't become a commissioner in this office, and it disgraces the commissioner's position. You just stop. Don't do that anymore, please. But I want to address those, but I'm going to address them as an adjective or an adverb, not as calling a person stupid, okay? I want to define stupid, okay? We have financials. We're not even done with those yet. 2023 is where the financials are at, but yet we're talking about passing a 33% budget. Without financials, PFM has admitted in their presentation that they were unfinished. They're not even close to being done, but we say that we're looking at them as being our ala chingala in the sky to make all the decisions for us. Now, granted, I made a mistake myself. I misjudged them, and I went back and I looked over their materials and things. I said, geez, you know, they're not that bad. I'm not in favor of bringing in a company. We did the same thing, and none of us were all volunteer. It wouldn't have cost you a dime. You guys spent $200 and some thousand on that, but that's another thing. But, you know, I heard the word coward. Well, a coward, I'd like to show you something here. This to me is my definition of cowardice. This here is a memo that most of the people here received. And it was from PFM, from Gordon. And he says, right now, it looks like the plan will be somewhere around 150 to 200 pages. This is too much for anyone to do sitting down. I'm paraphrasing now. So we'll send it to you in sections. We don't even have all the information, and yet we're putting the cart before the horse. We're talking 33%. You don't even have their finished product yet. And then they go on to say that they're not going to have their product until sometime in the mid-year of 2025. And you're already talking 33%? In addition to that, you know, just because you say that you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that 33% would put you at a balanced budget, but what about next year? Are you going to be in the same position next year? You darn bet you are. So is that going to be a solution to the thing? Now, we cherry-picked things out of the budget when we got together, and we found places where we could make cuts. We said 6.3%. Now, some of the information that we had, we were not privy to certain factors of it, but nonetheless, we got it down. Here's another memo. Here's another thing I wanted to show you. This came from Gaughan, and this was sent to Commissioner Chermak. Commissioner, I saw that you have your own budget proposal. I'm interested in reviewing it if you're willing to share, though you're not obligated to do so. We definitely are open to including your ideas in our plan, even if they are implemented outside the 2025 budget. You know what that says? To me, it was a little bit condescending, but nonetheless, they were willing to sit down with us. They said they would sit down with us and talk. And what I don't understand is why you guys won't. You know, and the only conclusions that I could even come to is it ego? Is it political? Is it the fact that you don't know enough about business to understand you're destroying businesses and homes? Okay. Is it fear of failure, or is it just plain narcissism? If it's narcissism, God help you, because you guys won't be reelected. I'll guarantee you that. Look, I'm not here to be a fly in the ointment. I will work for you. If all I can do is get you
Lynn. Thank you.
coffee, I'll do it and take out the trash for you. But I'll sit down with you and I'll stay with this, and so will my colleagues for
Would
the rest
anyone
of
else
the
like
time.
to
Thank you, Len.
address the board?
Thanks, Len. And Len, just, and for the record, I can honestly tell you, one of the things I am not is a coward. I have 2 daughters. Trust me when I tell you, I'm not a coward.
I know that from personal.
Okay. Would anyone else like to address the board? Ma'am?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Linda Bonikevich from East Benton. I'd like you to answer a question. Tell me the transparent difference between your proposal on a 33% tax hike versus Commissioner Chermak's.
Sure, I can answer that question. When we looked over his proposal, and our CFO will get up in a minute and also talk about the issues with his proposal, but his proposal does the same thing that's been done the last 10 or so years, which is use one-time revenue sources where next year, what's the plan for next year? So $17 million in ARPA funding, which is what we're objecting to, because we don't have $17 million in ARPA funding that's unobligated. And even if we did, you would use that $17 million, ma'am, and then next year, the hole would only get bigger because it's a systemic deficit. That is one issue with his proposal. The second issue, which I personally and respectfully found very disingenuous, was that they talk about eliminating a bunch of positions. And I'll use the Office of Youth and Family Services as an example. The Office of Youth and Family Services, the vast majority of positions are funded 80% by the state government. But in their proposal, they make you believe that if you cut all those positions out, you would have this big savings. But they don't account that the state reimburses you 80% for those positions. And the other factor is we need those positions. They protect families and children throughout the county. We've been literally on the phone with the state Department of Human Services the last 11 months trying to get the full license back because the office is under a provisional license. I went out with the caseworker the entire day. I saw what goes on in the county in terms of children and families. It is literally one of the most important agencies that we have. So to essentially defund it and get rid of all these positions to myself and Commissioner McGloin doesn't make sense. And I'll give you one more example because I don't want to take up your time. They took $300,000 out of a line item for postage. That's our entire postage budget. So what would we do next year, as I said at the last commissioners meeting? Send letters by carrier pigeon? I don't understand. We wouldn't even be able to send out the tax bills. So there's all these things that make people believe, geez, and I've had people tell me, why can't you get it down to 6%? Why can't you just look at Commissioner Chermak's proposal? We did. If there was a way that I thought we could get this down to 6%, don't you think we would have did it? The 33% is going to right-size the ship. It's something that we don't want to have to do, but it's necessary and it's the truth. And I could go on and on and on about other things in his proposal, but the fact of the matter is it's not a viable proposal. If it was, we would consider it and it would be an area of compromise. But when you try to compromise, you have to start with the facts, and they're not there. So that's my honest opinion on it.
And we can start your time over. Traci, you can do that. But
So are you willing?
I'd just like to point out one more thing as well, going back to the OIFS case. So the backlog of OIFS cases has actually been reduced from over 900 cases to 708 cases. So it actually shows that the policies that we've implemented are working. So really the proposed job cuts in that department would not only undermine the progress that we've made, that department has made, but it also jeopardized the well-being of families and children in our county as well.
Yeah, and there's also a lot more to, which we could go on and on for hours and hours, but, as far as, my proposal defunding, that's far from the truth. We added $10 million to their budget for this year. So right now, the approach we took was we're going to start from scratch. Right now, outside sources and different entities are fulfilling those services. So they're providing people that are working for the county. So they're not county employees. They work for these SAM and the other resources that we're using. So as long as they're here, we don't need to keep open and unfilled positions. When that time comes, simply when we don't have to use outside sources, we will have a salary board meeting like we do multiple times throughout the year, and we can add these services or these positions back in. So, once they're gone, doesn't mean they're gone forever. It's just we're trying to find a way to protect the taxpayers right now. And for me to take that out was very easy. Now, whether they're reimbursed by the state or not, that's a discussion that our team should have been having with finance and with everybody else. But, we're doing this stuff on our own. But again, we did not defund anything, so, that's where it is.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just wish from my heart that all three of you would get on the same page as us. And are you willing to say right now that you would meet that gentleman right now and discuss this before you make any decisions?
So let me just put it this way to you.
And why won't you?
First of all, I was elected to this office, okay, by the people of this county. And they elected me to do this job along with the CFO and all the people that we put around us. And they put together a budget, and that gentleman, with all due respect, put his name on it, and the numbers are wrong by millions of dollars. So I think it's a waste of time to sit down with people who don't come forward with the facts.
Well, maybe sitting at the table would discuss this and see where it's wrong, where it's right.
It's smoke and mirrors.
And get in the middle and do the right thing for us.
I'm being honest with you. This talk of, so let's just sit down at the table, let's sit down at the table. We've been at this for 11 and a half months. Commissioner Chermak, with all due respect, has all the information, the financial information that we do. We're working off the same playbook. It's not like we're coming up with numbers here. So to sit at the table, we've sat at the table with financial experts, with our CFO, with all people who know the inner workings of county government. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just smoke and mirrors. It's a delay tactic. Look, nobody wants to raise taxes, and a 33% increase, there's sticker shock. We've explained how we got here, and this is the truth of the matter, and that's how it's going to be moving forward. It's people sometimes don't like to hear the cold truth. It's the truth.
I understand that, but what about the budget of 23?
And your time is up, ma'am. I'm sorry. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board?
Thank you.
My time is up.
Hi, Traci Buxby. I live in White's Crossing.
Good morning.
I have a 16-year-old that has Down syndrome, and when I lost my house in 2014, got it back. Now I'm like, I'm scared crapless. How am I going to pay for my house? And I have a daughter with disability. I have 5 jobs that I have to take care of. My husband is on disability. He was in an accident with bolus, unfortunately. But I'm a little person. I have 5 jobs. My husband has 2 jobs. How are we going to afford? I'm going to be needing children and youth because they're going to come take my kid away. It's scary. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Would anyone else like to address the board on agenda items only?
Russell Moore, Carbondale, Pennsylvania, obviously. This county budget that you're, I guess, getting ready to speak about or vote on for 2025, my numbers that I got are from the county's webpage. And the county's webpage says that the total taxable for Lackawanna County is $1,589,723,142. That's, now that number is your guys' numbers that you have assessed and said that's the value of property in Lackawanna County. Now, just three numbers times that original number, you've got millage property tax at 0.0636. You've got a library millage tax at 0.00307. You got a Lackawanna County education and culture tax at 0.001. Just those three numbers alone times that $1.58 billion adds up to $107,576,565.01. Now, what I've heard is we're $250 million in debt. Is that correct or incorrect?
Roughly long-term debt, correct?
Okay, long-term debt. Now you're also going to vote on selling $15 million worth of bonds at 4% interest. In my opinion, and get that money from, by the way, Essex Financial. In my opinion, that should be considered junk bonds. And anybody that invests in buying those bonds would be an idiot. Also, is there a balanced budget amendment?
What do you mean by that?
Is there a balanced budget amendment by law in Lackawanna County? In other words, you passed a law that says you have to have a balanced budget every year that you pass a budget.
It's in the home rule charter. I believe what you're referring to is in the home rule
Yeah,
charter.
it's in the home rule charter that we have to present a balanced
Okay.
budget every year, yeah.
If that's the case, then why are you going in more debt by selling $15 million worth of bonds? Okay, that's another question. Now, not all of the taxes are listed on the website. You've also got borough tax and school tax to be considered for everybody, which is different wherever you live. There's also an additional tax for vehicle registration that's been added. Everybody that registers a vehicle has to pay an additional, I think, $5 or something like that.
Correct.
So that is more revenue that's been generated that's not being listed, and I haven't listed it, but I'm just trying to say, for the record, this is garbage. 33% increase, and you're $250 million in debt already. And maybe somebody should consider filing bankruptcy here. Because once bankruptcy is proclaimed for this county, then the state steps in and says, you're going to go under receivership because apparently you don't know how to run a budget. And that's obvious because if you have a balanced budget amendment, then you're not sticking to it. and you're $250 million in debt. And I guess that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board on agenda items only?
Matt Serba from Dixon City. Lackawanna County Commissioners, I just want to release a statement here. I'll be short and sweet. Obviously, this is regarding our 33% tax increase that we've been discussing and we've been hearing about. Writing to express my strong opposition towards the proposal of the 33% tax increase being considered for the taxpayers of Lackawanna County. As a concerned citizen and taxpayer, I find this proposal not only unreasonable, but also deeply troubling. The 33% increase is a significant burden, particularly for families and individuals who are already struggling to make the ends meet. This move will undoubtedly strain the finances of many residents, and I believe it will have a long-lasting negative impact on the economic health of our community. Furthermore, I'm disheartened by the lack of professionalism demonstrated in the process leading up to this proposal. Where is the intersection between a 33% tax increase and a 6.4? That is my question right there, just to think out loud, but where is the intersection? Where do we meet in the middle on that? The fact that such a drastic decision could be agreed upon by all commissioners without transparent discussion and thorough consideration on its consequences reflects poorly on the governance of this county. The absence of open debate and input from the very citizens who will be directly affected by this decision raises concerns about the accountability and responsibility of those in office. As a taxpayer of Lackawanna County, I'm deeply upset to see these extreme measures put forward. This proposal is not helping the county, it is going to hurt the county. If this increase moves forward, what's to say that another increase will not come forward in the future? I want to make it clear that I will actively work to ensure that campaigns run smoothly. If we could do anything as taxpayers to help out the community, we could do it. But for the commissioners that support this, I feel it's unfair and I think it's burdensome. It is a crucial part in leadership, and I give you all the credit to be in the seats that you're at. But something has to change and something has to be in the middle between all three of you. Lastly, please reconsider the proposal. Work toward a more reasonable solution that does not place an overwhelming burden on the hardworking citizens of Lackawanna County. We deserve better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board on agenda items? Sir? Just please state your name for the record and where you live.
Robert Haswell. I live in Lackawanna County, taxpayer like everybody else here. For the last 5 years, we've seen increases where people can't even afford their homes, feed their children, pay their bills, on the verge of losing their house, and your answer to that is raising it 33%. From my understanding, we don't have the expenditures from 2023 or the report from that, and you're going off of something else to raise those taxes. I want to know why we have open positions that are being paid for that are not filled, and that money is no longer allocated or is allocated to those positions and are not being returned back to the county. And then the answer to that, you're raising it 33%. We have an answer for that?
Sir, I'm not sure what you're referring to, but we, in our budget proposal, we cut 90 positions across 19 departments, and those positions were vacant, and they either had not been filled in the last couple months or in some cases for the last year or two. So we did cut 90.
You're still allocating that money to those positions, and that money is not being returned back to the county. So
No,
where is it going?
No, that's not correct. So since we have taken those positions out of the budget, after a thorough analysis on each one of them, those positions will not exist next year, and then therefore that money does not. We don't have to fund those positions any longer.
So you're not funding it. Do you have the numbers from 2023 and what you're spending and allocating money to and where it's going?
In terms of the budget, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, where you're putting money out,
Yeah, the budget,
tax-paying money, you're paying it out, and you don't have any idea on where it went to specifically.
oh, that's not factual.
I'll look for the numbers, I'm waiting.
They're online. All the budgets and all of the financial information is posted on the county's website.
You have the internet right there? I'll wait for the numbers. I think everybody else
Okay.
deserves to have the numbers in front of them
They're
before you raise the 33%.
readily available, sir. Okay.
You're not gonna do that?
No.
So you want to raise the taxes and not have any kind of transparency for it? And the people are losing their homes now. Gas increases, electric increases, food, school taxes, and now you want to raise 33%? Does that make sense to you guys? I see you guys sitting there in nice suits. I'm glad you can afford that. Some of us can't.
It's from Boscov's.
Don't care, do you? Didn't think so.
Do care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Ma'am, whoever wants to come first.
Hi, my name is Amy Scandell, Waverly Township. I did send an email, but it was at 9:22 this morning, so I don't know if you got it. I've been a Lackawanna County resident just for 5 years. I am a nurse and a single mother, and frankly, I cannot afford another penny increase in my budget. I have given up things over the last few years with my children and in my own household to manage my budget. Our county needs to look at every corner to sacrifice to do the same. Please consider the impact on many residents that have also had a recent school tax increase as well, and I didn't even know about the vehicle, the $5 vehicle tax. This adds up over the years to, I won't, have my daughter in lacrosse. I mean, I'm a nurse, and this is the first time I didn't go on vacation this year. I have cut different things out of my budget, adding up to maybe $150 a month, than to hand it over to the county. I just don't think it's fair, and the other gentleman that talked about, let's get together, right? Unite. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, that doesn't matter. We're all citizens here. 6.4%, 33%, there's gotta be a middle ground. There has to be a middle ground, and I'm begging you, I can't afford another cent to the point, school taxes or whatever, I'm looking at moving out of the county. And I have a lot of friends and family that feel the same way. And I think this is a great area. That's why I moved here. But it's just plummeted in the 5 years I've even been here. I've seen a lot of changes. And please listen to the citizens here today. That's all I'm asking, for you to consider it and maybe not voting today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Stokes. I have a house in Clark Summit. I'm a concerned citizen. Small government, as we all know, is the wave of the future here. Okay? We're going to have President Trump in, which is fabulous. I believe we need to make some cuts in our county here. I've been in this building personally during the day, and I heard people out of their mouths say, 2:30 today, we're done, we're not accepting any more applications. I said, on whose dime? We're leaving early, okay? If they're twiddling their thumbs and they don't have stuff to do, I think we need to make some position cuts, okay? That'll help balance. Also, children and youth, okay? They're supposed to be there for the greater good of families. And I will say, from personal experience with them and also personally knowing people, there are some frivolous cases right now going on that need to be annihilated out of that children and youth, okay? They're prosecuting people that shouldn't be, charging people that shouldn't be, and it's frivolous money wasted, okay? So there's a lot of areas to be cut in this county, and I believe that that will help balance. Okay, 33% is astronomical. I'm a nurse by trade, 17 years in nursing. I'm also in real estate now, and I love this county. I've lived here most of my life, and this is just unacceptable. Please hear the citizens today. This affects renters, homeowners. It affects every person that lives here, and you guys. I mean, it affects everybody. There has to be a way, and you can't do this to the people. You're going to have a mass exodus out of here, and nobody's going to want to come in. You know, right now, people look at this county and they want to move here, but after this, they're not going to want to. So you're going to have people trying to get out, and you're going to have people that they're not going to come in. So please, we got to come to a solution here, and it can't be this. It cannot be 33%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Renee Sabovitz, North Abington Township, and I'm here to address everyone about how every person in this room, we've all had to tighten our belts and work out our budgets. Electric bills are up 33%. Oil, heat, gas, insurance, you name it. Whether it's homeowners insurance, healthcare insurance, we are all paying almost $3,000, $4,000 more a year, groceries, everything. And we have two budgets, one at 33, and I wish that the people sitting at their chairs would look directly at the speakers while we're speaking. Thank you. We all have to tighten our budgets. We're all cutting corners, scrimping, saving, and it needs to be scrimping, saving with Lackawanna County too. We need to cut the pork. If one budget is at 33% and another budget is down at 6.4, there has to be a middle ground. There has to be. And everybody needs to shake hands, get along, and figure it out for Lackawanna County taxpayers. There has to be accountability. It's very easy to spend other people's money, but when it's your money, there's a difference. And you need to find that middle ground. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board on agenda items only?
Allison Urine, I live in Old Forge, Pennsylvania.
Morning.
Good morning. Again, I have to reiterate what this whole crowd is here for. You know, I just recently retired, which is great, but I don't think I'm going to be able to afford to retire. I think I'm going to have to go back to work. How can we afford these taxes? I came originally from Jersey 25 years ago because Jersey was so expensive to live, the taxes were through the roof. I come here to Lackawanna County, and they're going through the roof, okay? I'm trained as a financial professional. I know where waste is, okay? I can tell you right now that you have a ton of waste because of just looking at different things with your financials, okay? Something has to be done. They're right. 33%? Are you kidding me? That's outrageous. You all should be fired, honestly. Every single one of you. That's a disgrace. And the smirks we get from this front right here it's disrespectful. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know, let me respond to, excuse me, Lorraine, just 1 second. You can come up, but you know, it's pretty obvious what's going on here and the concerns that everyone has, which is a concern I've had for not just this year, but the last 5 years that I've been here. I think it's important, and I'm going to make this statement right now. I think that this should be tabled. I'll make a motion to table this and to listen to what these people are saying. You know, take another hard look. This is a big decision. Take another look. Maybe there's something we can find. I know my team would be more than happy to come in and spend some time with the finance department, and maybe there is something. You know, my stuff was not written in crayon. It's not lies. You know, maybe there's some things that aren't 100% correct, but you know what? We're giving it a try. Nobody wants to listen to that. Everybody, they can spend hours and hours and hours dissecting what I am doing. They should spend that time figuring out where they can save money for the taxpayers here in Lackawanna County, and I know there's money that can be saved. I've been saying it for 5 years. I became a commissioner because I didn't like the way things were going, you know? So I'm still here. I'm doing the best that I can, but that's my motion. I think this should be tabled and taken another hard look.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
No.
No.
And I'd just like to add really quick with that. So I'd just like to address something really quick. So I've heard ARPA a number of times today. Many of the payments being made in 2024 are for ARPA-funded projects that were initiated and approved during Commissioner Chermak's administration. In fact, Commissioner Chermak's administration has spent more this year in 2024 due to ongoing payments for projects that he passed. So in his budget, when he references $17 million in ARPA funds, what he fails to mention is that these funds are already allocated to the projects that he improves, making his
Again,
claims
they're worried about
contradictory and
what
basis.
I'm talking about.
Commissioner Sherman,
They
give us an
should be
opportunity to speak.
studying and looking very hard at what they could be doing.
I just would like to add one more
Past
thing,
is the
please.
past.
Well, no, I understand the
Today.
past is the past, but I feel it's important to tell the story as to how we got to where we're at. And I think this, no, I believe I have some more time, ma'am. Thank you. And just so how, again, this is an important part right here. In the previous administration, you know, Commissioner Chermak may have argued that he lacked
Which I was the
authority.
minority commissioner.
I have something I need to read really
let's-
quick, Chris, if you don't mind.
just
So
let each other
you may,
speak here.
you may, you know, claim that you've lacked authority during your time as a minority commissioner, but the facts show otherwise, and numbers and voting records do not lie. So from 2020 to 2023, Commissioner Chermak had the second highest voting percentage among the three commissioners. So from the total amount of 1,142 pieces of legislation that were passed and signed from the commissioner meetings, Commissioner Chermak had signed in favor 98.4% of the time, Commissioner Natariani had signed 99.3% of the time, and Commissioner Dominic signed 82.5% of the time. So these statistics clearly demonstrate that Commissioner Chermak was really part of the majority decision-making process, regardless of how he attempts to portray it. So if you're curious and wondering as to one of the major reasons as to why and how we got here, that's really it right there.
And again, those efforts should have been put towards this budget, not on what was going on over the last 25 years. We're trying to deal with 2025 right now. We're in the month of November of 2024. This is stuff that yes, you can speak. I wanted to do this on January 1st.
Commissioner Cummings?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lord help me. That's all I have to say, so I don't get mad. Speak through me, Father, please. So, question for the solicitors. You don't have to answer it now, just when I leave. On the home rule charter, we all have, in your authority, you have the ability to levy taxes, assessments, and service charges, with the maximum millage being 25 mills. We're at 26 now. So why is that not a violation of the home rule charter? I see that the 5% comes into play as well. But I always wanted to, I should have changed that when I was commissioner. And if I ever get elected again, I will.
Yes, Commissioner.
So if there's a short answer, I'll take it. If it doesn't,
Commissioner,
interfere with my time.
both of those provisions in the Home Rule Charter were challenged in court in the past, and the Commonwealth Court had ruled that they are inapplicable because they violate the Home Rule Charter Act, the state act. So
they don't.
they're not applicable. They're void, basically, the court has said.
Okay. I agree with the citizens that 33% is outrageous. However, I also agree that we have two new sitting commissioners that had nothing to do with any of it. They're just trying to come up with a solution. So I refuse to sit here and yell at you for something that you didn't cause. Anything that I was responsible for, I would be happy to talk about with anyone. I do have some suggestions. Sorry, I'm just very upset over the whole thing myself, too. How many mills do we have left that we can use through ARPA? Is it 5? 5 million or?
Unobligated, around 5 million, yes.
Okay. And how many of the opioid amounts do we have? Because they canceled their meeting, and I couldn't get that information.
Yeah.
It's 3. So that's 3 million. So that's 8 million we have right there. Because the opioid money that I had fought for and got could be used for OIFS as well. Because we had grandparents and parents that were affected by the opioid issues, and that could help. So I wish you had tabled it. I wish that, I mean, I know Chris made that motion. I would agree with the table for that, because there are some areas you can get money from.
and that would be my suggestion. The other areas are starting salaries that I know Traci and I had discussed on numerous ad nauseum occasions, where you should go with the unions and get a tiered program instead of hiring people at the amount that the new person was, or the old person was getting when they left. And we tried working that out for years. And I know that I had done it. People hated me for it, but that's okay. You know, but it saved our county money. Tyler Technologies is doing our reassessment. And Gary, what are we paying Tyler for throughout our budget? Because I see checks all over the place. And are they responsible for some of the IT increases? Do you know? Okay. All right, well, that's just a small part of what I want to say, but the other part I want to say is I'm glad everybody's here now. I'm glad the media finally showed up, because you all know I've been coming to these meetings for years, even after I was not a commissioner anymore. And I stood here and chastised the media, so blame them too, because they didn't report on all this crap. They weren't here for the past 4 years. Don't let, and Mr. Kelly, you're telling people they can afford $7 a week? Shame on you.
Commissioner Cummings.
Shame on you.
Commissioner Cummings, you have to address the board, please, not
Sorry.
anyone in the audience.
Sorry, that's ridiculous to say people can't afford a tax increase. They can't. Mr. Chermak, you are a potted plant. For you not to tell the people what has been going on for the past 4 years is beyond me. You constantly go, oh, it's the Globe's fault. What a bunch of crap. Where's the money? I'm like, $20 million, it's gone? Where'd it go? Why isn't anybody questioning where the money went? How about you tell us that? How about you tell us that? Where were you at all the budget hearings? You're a derelict in duty. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so angry over that. How many budget hearings did you have? 6?
We had 4 total.
And he never showed up to one.
No.
Not one to answer
Baloney.
questions. Not one.
Baloney.
Listen, you can answer after I'm done.
No idea what you're talking
I'm so
about.
angry over what you not showing up to those budget hearings to answer the people's questions. You never answered them. You always blame everybody else. Sick of it. I'm sick of you all blaming each other.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Okay, would anyone else like to address the board on the agenda items only? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Tara Houlihan, and I'm a Lackawanna County resident. All I would say is, from an economic perspective, we heard a lot of people how they're going to be hurt by this tax increase, and then, you know, school tax, inflation. And what I would say is, please reconsider tabling this, only because to work through this, because what's going to happen is people are going to have heartache. And with heartache, things are going to happen where next year you're going to have higher costs because people are going to be more in need for child and youth service, for prison, for all the different services, 911, that you provide. So it's not, I don't see how it's going to get better. I see that our citizens are going to have more of a need. So I know think about when you work, you all work with people that you don't like, but you have to just put that past and work through it for the citizens that elected you in this case. Because I don't see, like, if you said, oh, we do the 33% tax increase and everything is fixed, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like people are going to be suffering, be more in need more tax money, and it's going to be a perpetual cycle of getting worse instead of better. So please consider that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board on agenda items only? No, sorry. There will be a time at the end of, after we get through the business, where there'll be just general public comment. Okay? Okay, thank you. Ordinance number 24-0274.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, this is the second reading of Ordinance 295, the annual budget for the County of Lackawanna for the year 2025. An ordinance of the County of Lackawanna and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fixing the tax rate and enacting the budget for the year 2025 and appropriate specific sums estimated to be required for the specific purposes of the county government herein set forth during the current fiscal year, be it ordained and enacted, and it is hereby resolved and enacted by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania. Section 1, that a tax be and the same is hereby levied on all property within the said county subject to taxation for county purposes for the fiscal year 2025 as follows. Tax rate for general county purposes, the sum of 69.69 mils of each dollar of assessed valuation, or the sum of 696.7 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation for debt purposes. The sum of 15.99 mils on each dollar assessed valuation, or the sum of 159.9 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation for purposes of the county library system. The sum of 3.07 mils on each dollar of assessed valuation, or the sum of 30.70 cents on each $100 of assessed valuations. For the purpose of cultural and education fund, the sum of 1.25 mils, or the sum of 12.5 cents on each $100 of assessed valuation. Total millage for all purposes is the sum of 89.98 mils. Section 2, all prior ordinances or resolutions or parts thereof inconsistent herewith are repealed. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon the budget and answer any of your questions is the Chief Financial Officer of Lackawanna County, Mr. David Bolzoni.
Thank you. Good morning.
Dave.
Good morning, Commissioners. The 2025 budget is a practice in inevitability. After preliminary budget deficits of $4 million, $8 million, $15 million, and now $37 million over 4 consecutive years, it is inevitable that the county is facing a millage increase of such measurable significance that it was last seen only in 2012 when the county increased real estate tax millage by 37.5%. It is inevitable that the county is facing a significant real estate tax millage increase when during the same period, the county assessed valuation increased by a mere 10%. It is inevitable that the county faces a significant real estate tax increase when the general fund balance is diminished from a high of $26 million in 2017 to what will be approximately $15 million. And it is inevitable that the county faces a sizable tax increase that during that same period, budgeted expenses increased by between 80 and 90%. The practice of decreasing general fund millage to accommodate increases in debt service, which occurred in the past, is not sound. The practice of using one-time revenues is nothing more than a temporary feeling of elation. When it corrects, you experience a budget even more challenging than the prior. The use of one-time revenues requires planning. This practice requires a focus on expense management as well as revenue generation. The use of expense reduction where practical and revenue adjustments through incremental real estate tax increases is sound management. What is not sound management is taking the position that we'll figure it out in the next budget year. That's never worked. We're in that next budget year and we didn't figure it out. That's the reason we're facing a 33% real estate tax millage increase. What this budget does not do is attempt to fund a significant amount of unpaid vendor bills that were delivered into the next budget from almost 1/4 of neglect. The budget does not include a scoop and toss transaction or unfunded debt, which are typically associated with measures of some desperation or other one-time revenues which would pass into the following budget year for redress. Since the county began to use the fund balance in earnest in 2018, thereby using a one-time revenue source to balance the budget, any real form of redress never materialized. It was too easy to use the fund balance. These are reasons why we face a 33% real estate tax increase. The process to develop this budget was painstaking. All three commissioners had the opportunity to sit in on departmental budget hearings. All three commissioners should understand the importance of the construction of those departmental budgets as an imperative to deliver the services that are provided by the county. These departmental budgets list in every bit of detail needed to construct an operating budget, all information needed to understand the basis not only for the total budget, but for the tax increase necessary to deliver those services. I'm going to add a comment from a personal standpoint, which I rarely do. For anyone commenting that I was party to the commissioners shielding themselves from any prospective alternatives discussed regarding the budget, those comments should be considered as much a fantasy as thinking that a real estate tax increase of 6% would be sufficient to bridge a $37 million preliminary budget deficit. Now, and this may be considered a novel concept, but if you believe you're being shielded from information, communicate with your fellow commissioners. Now, I've prepared a lot of detail on the departmental budgets that have had the most significant impact. It's going to be a narrative that's going to be included in the digital budget book. It gets into a lot of detail. Just relative to youth and family services, I have a page and a half which is deconstructing their entire budget. There are several statistics from the Office of Youth and Family Services that I really think are worth noting. Traditional foster care dependents increased from 15,141 to 41,574 in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, based on the Commonwealth fiscal year. Reimbursed kinship care increased from 14,729 to 25,223, and total foster care figures increased from 29,870 to 66,797. We're looking at a very significant increase in the OIFS budget. There's the reason why. You know, we've talked about looking at the numbers. The numbers are there. All of the commissioners, myself, everyone involved in the budget process have had a chance to review the departmental budgets. Those budgets provide a lot of detail on exactly what's needed in order to run those departments, and I think that's worth noting. I have a lot of other information. Again, I'm not going to stand here and read narratives based on what I've done relative to each one of the departments, but I'll certainly entertain any questions.
No, you go.
Dave, yeah, so with this increase, our commission, and I guess it's a yes or no question, are Commissioner Gaughan and I doing what is correct, what others before us have failed to do?
Well, I don't know whether that's a yes or no question, but as I pointed out initially, Commissioner McGloin, we started out with preliminary budget deficits, which have only increased. So just in regard to that fact, yes, what you are doing is appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Bolzoni, Commissioner Chermak has issued a alternative proposal, we'll call it. Have you reviewed that proposal?
I did review it.
And is that proposal viable for 2025? In other words, if we were to say, all right, let's just go with 6%, is that feasible? And that's also a yes or no question. Is it feasible to implement what is in his proposal?
No.
Thank you.
Well, I have a yes or no question.
Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case.
I have a yes or no question. You need to,
Sir,
can
excuse
you
me.
honestly tell me?
Sir, You can't speak out. Sir, you can't speak out from the crowd, sir. We have to have decorum here.
So this is a
Thank you.
yes or no question. There is absolutely no savings
you can't speak out
whatsoever
from the
left in
audience.
this
Thank you.
budget whatsoever. There's not a penny we can save. There's no cuts that can be made. There's no fluff in any department. There's not expenses that we don't need to have. I mean, every single expense that we have, every employee, every department, everything we provide, there's not any savings. That, I believe that to be false. There has to be savings in $180 million budget. I guarantee, being in business with my family all my life and knowing what goes on in the business world, there's savings. There's savings in my household budget. Everybody in this room are going to have to make drastic cuts. We can't do it. It's okay for them, but not okay for us. So yes or no? There's nothing else to be saved in this budget? I find that hard to believe.
Commissioner, I'm going to take that as more of a rhetorical question. If you recall, we started out with a $37 million preliminary budget deficit. Through a very detailed review, we reduced it by almost $8 million. So yes, there were savings initially that we crafted from that initial review. So to answer your question, yes, we did. And you were privy to all of that information.
Well, I believe there's a lot more, a lot more.
Thank you, Dave.
We have an amphitheater, we have a baseball stadium, we have multiple
Sell the baseball
parks.
stadium, that's a good
I mean,
idea.
we have things that aren't absolutely a necessity. So, you know, are we taking a hard enough look, or we just want to continue down the same path we're on and charge it to the taxpayers? I disagree.
Your budget keeps us going down the same path that we were on.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, you can't speak out from the, you'll have time at the end of the meeting to ask any additional questions. Thank you. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 24-0274.
Motion.
There's been a motion. Is there a second? Second on the question. Commissioner, Commissioner McGloin? Commissioner Chermak, any comments?
Yes, on the question. As commissioners, it's our responsibility to protect the financial well-being of the residents of Lackawanna County. This tax increase comes at a time when our constituents are already struggling to make ends meet. Over the past few years, the cost of living has soared. Food, fuel, utilities are more expensive than ever. School districts and municipalities are raising taxes, some of them already have. This is just compounding the burden on our taxpayers. To add these challenges, to add to them, we're facing an upcoming countywide property reassessment that's going to take effect next year, creating further uncertainty for taxpayers. This massive tax increase will hurt the most vulnerable in our community, particularly the elderly residents on fixed incomes. I believe this tax hike is a premature, unnecessary. My team, although only scratching the surface, has already identified savings to this proposed budget. I'm confident that we can find more. The consulting firm of PFM has yet to submit their final analysis of the entire budget. It's irresponsible to move forward with such a drastic increase without fully understanding options available. This is the hard work we were elected to do. Introducing tax increase of this magnitude without doing so is a disservice to the taxpayers of Lackawanna County. We owe it to the residents to explore every option before forcing them to shoulder the weight of this massive tax increase. I cannot in good conscience support this measure without ensuring that we have done everything possible to reduce wasteful spending and find more efficiencies.
Thank you, Commissioner McGloin.
Commissioner Gaughan and I have spent months and months and months going through this budget, being honest, open, and transparent about how and why we got to where we are. Now, I did not run for Lackawanna County Commissioner to make things worse. And I certainly didn't get into this for things to stay the same. Believe me when I say, trust me, I understand. I feel your frustration. I know people are struggling. I know workers are struggling. I only ran to do what is best. I do not want to make anybody's life harder. And as much as I truly do not like this, please believe me when I say there is no other way. Now, we can sit here and choose to do absolutely nothing. But that's not why we're here. That's not why the people of Lackawanna County elected us. There is a reason that Commissioner Gaughan and I are sitting here today, and there's a reason that those that came before are not. I would love to tell each and every one of you that we can lower taxes right now, but we can't. We are trying to do the right thing, and that's the reality. And reality is different, and I know reality is hard. When I took office on January 2nd, the last thing that I thought we were going to have to do was raise taxes like this. But the fact of the matter is, there is no way any one of us could have known the position this county was in. And how could we? We were lied to, you were lied to. We have all been lied to for years, lied to tremendously. But this is the administration that stops all of that. Trust me and believe me when I tell you that we are working daily for working families. We are fighting for the future, and we will not continue to do it the way that it has always been done here in Lackawanna County. And if you are concerned about your budget at home and what it could look like for you, I would just use Scranton as a quick example of what it could look like. And these are based on the median residential assessed value of a property in Scranton. The proposed increase would raise tax bills for a property owner in Scranton about $201 per year, or roughly $16.75 per month. In the county, we have the elderly extension or deferral program, and we have payment plan programs available for you. I'm an elected official, but I am also a taxpayer. Am I disappointed? Absolutely, yes, I'm disappointed. But tough decisions need to be made here in Lackawanna County, and we have a job to do in righting the ship.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for their comments on the budget over the last month. From the emails and phone calls that I received to the public comment at the 4 public hearings that were held throughout Lackawanna County, I truly appreciate everyone's thoughts and legitimate concerns. And as Commissioner McGloin said, I have to say that raising taxes 33% in our first budget as new commissioners was not something that we wanted to have to do. I don't believe there's any elected official in the United States of America who would willingly want to have to do this. And I have had many sleepless nights thinking about the effect that this would have on the people of the county, and I'm sure that you've had many sleepless nights as well. As I've mentioned before, my wife and I are raising 5 small children, and my parents are also senior citizens, so I completely understand the frustration and the bewilderment from people who are having a difficult time grasping how we could have got into this position and how all of this could have transpired. But when I was elected to this office, I promised everyone that I would be honest with them and I'd give it to them straight. And I promised that I'd do the right thing, not the politically popular thing, and not to just play to the crowd that's in front of me. If Commissioner McGloin and I thought for a second, after painstakingly going through every single line item in the budget and reviewing it with a team of experts in county finances, that we could somehow avoid this tax increase or lower it significantly in any way, we would have done it in a heartbeat. The honest answer to all of this, and the honest answer to all of you, is we have no choice. And the question that I've been asked ad nauseum since October 15th when we released this budget is, why? How did this happen? And this is my honest opinion of how we got here. And I'm just as outraged as you as a taxpayer of this county. It's a perfect storm through the years of incompetence and willful neglect. Majority commissioners who were caught up in their own political infighting and then decided to rarely ever show up for a full day's work. And with all due respect to my fellow colleague, the Minority Commissioner Chris Chermak, he was along for the ride, but asleep at the wheel, absent and quiet as a church mouse. Think about it, folks.
There you go again.
Think about it. Where was everyone? Why weren't the previous commissioners, including Commissioner Chermak, screaming from the rooftops about the $19 million in unpaid bills, the looming $37 million deficit, and the fact that the county was on track to run out of money and not make payroll? And they ended last year on fumes. This was a train that they should have saw coming down the track at them, yet they were silent. Why? And that's the question that I've been asked for the last month. Well, in my opinion, it's because governing is hard, and making difficult decisions is hard. No one had the courage to address the problems head-on and be honest with the public, because in doing so, that may have damaged them politically. And we all know, whether we want to admit it or not, that here in Lackawanna County and in Pennsylvania and around the country, sometimes politicians are more worried about their chances at re-election than they are with the truth and the stone-cold facts. Now, Commissioner McGloin and I are here to try to pick up the pieces and right the ship, and I'm confident that we will. We're going to give it all that we have, and we're going to give it our best. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to take time. This budget does not solve all of the problems. This is a very large bureaucracy that we're working to try to make more efficient and to turn the ship around. But as I've said before, it's like turning a battleship around in a bathtub. It is going to take time. And unfortunately for all of us, that includes some really painful but necessary decisions. Now, one of the things that I've learned since I started out in public service at the age of 26 was that numbers do not lie. When they are accurate, they speak the truth. Numbers also do not run for public office. Numbers themselves do not favor any political constituency. The truths that they tell cannot be altered by political preferences. Like any large budget, the one that we have put on the table today, Commissioner McGloin and I, is very, very complex. And it reflects the vast scope of diverse services provided by county government, many of which are mandated by state law. But if I had to describe the budget that Commissioner McGloin and I have put forward in a single word, I would say that it is honest. It does not carry over any large unpaid bills from 2024, which ensures that next year's revenue will be used to cover next year's expenses. It does not use one-time revenues to patch funding shortfalls, only leaving us to patch that same hole next year. It's my true belief that this budget honestly and accurately assesses the financial condition of Lackawanna County's government and addresses it honestly and accurately. It is the product of a detailed and painstaking analysis of county finances and operations, and an equally painstaking process of reducing the projected deficit of more than $37 million. Now, Commissioner McGloin and I have been accused by some of not trying hard enough to make the cuts. And we've heard today and in other meetings that people can't quite understand why we can't cut more. Well, folks, please remember that the initial budget deficit was $37 million. And what we could have did, and what we see in school districts and councils and other areas of government across Pennsylvania, across the country, we could have said, this is the preliminary budget. We could have put it on the table and walked away and said, but don't worry, we're going to get it down. We're going to sharpen our pencils and use our erasers, and then give you the false reality that we'll start off with a really big number and then we'll cut it down. Well, we did the opposite. We literally gave it to you straight from the very moment we stepped out at that press conference on October 15th, and we answered questions every single step of the way. And we were at every single budget hearing across this county. So we started at $37 million, and we were able to cut that down to roughly $28 million. And I'll just check through some of the important things that we did. We eliminated an entire department. We eliminated the Department of Health that Commissioner Chermak at that time was jumping up and down about, that we should have kept it. That would have cost us millions and millions of dollars. And rather than just signing off on the application, we, again, did a thorough analysis and found that we were not going to get reimbursed from the state like everyone here thought we would. We cut 90 positions through 19 departments. We did not give out automatic 2.5% raises to all non-union county employees. And I want to say this, since we're in this building every day, we appreciate all county employees. And when we can stabilize the finances in an honest and productive way, we will come up with a plan to compensate those people appropriately because they do very, very difficult work. It's just this is not the year that we are able to do it. We cut healthcare costs for non-union employees. You know, people look at Commissioner McGloin and I and say, well, you cut 90 positions, you didn't cut enough, you didn't do this. And everyone talks about the cost of healthcare. Where did we start? We started with him and I. We, for the first time, imposed a deductible on all non-union employees, starting with my family and his. And we increased copays to what we thought was a fair level to save a lot of money. And we're currently negotiating with the SEI union and we'll continue to negotiate with the other bargaining units to try to find a fair way to make healthcare affordable in Lackawanna County. We cut overtime. We're starting to pay our bills on time. We're looking at the budget in a different way by establishing priority-based budgeting. We're trying to find new revenue streams through a program called Cash Fest. We're finally, after years of neglect, funding the pension. We're doing things in a transparent manner. So the process of making county government more efficient and cutting costs where we can does not end with this budget. Okay, we're just getting started here. This is a starting point, and it's an ongoing process, and we will be working through all of the recommendations that will be provided by the financial experts that we hired. And they have conducted a management audit. Now, I heard this morning that you have to wait until PFM, who are the financial experts that we hired, wait until they're done with their final report. We've been meeting with them on a bi-weekly basis since they were hired, and Commissioner Chermak approved that, in April. And they have told us the same things that we're telling you, just as our CFO stood up before and told all of you the cold, hard truth. So all of the things that they put forward so far, whatever we could honestly do in 2025 outside of negotiating with the bargaining units for real savings, we have done. So this idea that we should wait and postpone, it doesn't make sense. You're just postponing the inevitable. And finally, look, there has been an awful lot said by Commissioner Chermak over the last month. And it is my belief that we are living in an age, unfortunately, of misinformation and just a total lack of respect for the truth. And that's unfortunate, but it is the world and the country that we live in today. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, which I will always respect. I don't have all the answers. Commissioner McGloin doesn't have all the answers. But people are not entitled to their own facts. You can have your opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts. Few things surprise me anymore, but I never could have guessed when I took this office in January that Commissioner Chermak, with all due respect, would be so willingly disingenuous during this budget process. And that, to me, has been probably one of the more disappointing things. The lies, the misrepresentations, and the misinformations coming from an actual elected official who was entrusted with telling you people the truth and who was here the last 4 years, really, it just bothers me, even if I wasn't up here as an elected official. We all need to work together. We know that. And we have been trying to work together. Our CFO stood up here today and told you Commissioner Chermak has access to all the information that we do. We're not hiding any information. In fact, you do too. It's all on our website. You have access to everything. He was invited to all the budget hearings. He actually sat down at this very table with me, Commissioner McGloin, and our CFO to go over the issues in the budget. And then him and his team sat down for hours with our CFO and went through everything. And he gave them the honest to God's truth and what was happening. So the unfortunate thing in all this and what we've had to face is the fact that people will stop us and say, hey, Chermak's budget, it's 6%. Are you guys crazy? Why don't you just go with that? The proposal is poorly put together, and it lacks, honestly, even a basic understanding of county government. The numbers are wrong. They're off by millions of dollars. And the closing case in all this is our chief financial officer, who Commissioner Chermak and some of the members on his team who have praised him as knowing what he's talking about, doing a good job, knowing the inside and out of county finances, being the business administrator that was partially responsible for turning the city of Scranton's finances around. He just stood up here at that podium and told you that his proposal is not viable. And if we instituted it next year, this place would, I'm telling you, we wouldn't be able to keep the lights on. We would not be able to meet payroll. We wouldn't be able to send out caseworkers to go deal with all the serious problems that we have in our community protecting families and children. I've said it, he's said it. We just had our CFO up here stand up and tell you, no. In fact, the 6% proposal is not viable. It's not doable. If it was, and if there was a good idea in there, buried in there someplace, you can bet I would have signed off on it. I would have signed off on it, and I would have implemented it. So that's the facts. When you look at Commissioner Chermak's proposal, unfortunately, and this has been mentioned today, I think by Commissioner McGloin and our CFO, Dave Bolzoni, it does take the position outside of all the numbers being wrong that we'll figure it out in the next budget year. And I think he's been on record saying, well, we just got to get through this year. We'll figure it out next year. Just cut it to 6% and we'll figure it out next year. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we're sitting here today and we're getting yelled at by everybody. That's why we're here, because that's what they've been doing. They've been telling you things that aren't true. They've been playing to the crowd so that you walk out here thinking, boy, those guys are jerks, but why didn't they just listen to them? The whole thing honestly does not make sense. So for all of those reasons, Commissioner Chermak's proposal is not a valid basis for a compromise. A compromise would be if we were working off the same set of facts and the same reality. So his proposal, with all due respect, simply does not deal with the realities of the situation the county is in. And quite frankly, I know in my heart that he knows that. He knows that, but it's not the politically expedient thing to do. It's let's go after the low-hanging fruit. And he's done that, and that's unfortunate, and he'll have to live with that. We're telling the truth, and I know I can put my head down on the pillow at night and sleep tight. So what I'm asking the taxpayers of this county who may be watching on ECTV and who are here today, don't take the bait. Don't take the bait on this one. There is light at the end of the tunnel. This will get better. This is the first step in dealing with the realities of the situation that we found ourselves in when we took office in January. So in closing, the budget that we are passing today represents a new path forward in this county, where we finally begin to unravel the systemic financial, organizational, and procedural problems that have held back this county for far too long. And with that, all those in favor of the 2025 budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
The ayes have it, and the budget has been approved. Ordinance 24-0275.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the second reading of Ordinance 296. This is authorizing the issuance of the tax and revenue anticipation note for Series 2025 in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $15 million. Whereas the county has determined to accept the proposal of Essex Securities LLC, Jersey City, New Jersey, or one or more assignees designated in writing by the county as purchaser or placement agent for the purchase of its tax and revenue anticipation notes. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the county as follows. The county hereby exercises its power and authority to borrow money and authorizes the issuance and sale of its tax and revenue anticipation notes, Series 2025, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $15 million in anticipation of the receipt of current taxes and revenues during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025. The note shall be executed in the name and on the behalf of the county by the true and facsimile signatures of at least 2 members of the board, and the true or facsimile official seal of the county shall be affixed thereunto, duly attested by the true or facsimile signature of the chief of staff or the deputy chief of staff of the county. The notes shall be general obligations of the county, and together with any other tax and revenue anticipation notes issued or to be issued by the county during the county's fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, shall upon issuance thereof be equally and ratably secured by a pledge of security interest in and in lien and charge on the taxes and other revenues to be received by the county during the period when the notes are outstanding. The county hereby accepts the proposal of the purchaser for the purchase or arrangement of the private placement of the notes subject to and in accordance with the terms and conditions of this ordinance and the proposal. The sale of the notes shall be for an aggregate purchase price of not less than the aggregate par amount of the notes issued by the county, plus accrued interest, if any, from the date of the notes to the date of delivery thereof. The proper officers of the county are hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to contract with the Fidelity Deposit and Discount Bank of Delmore, Pennsylvania as the paying agent. The chairman or any other commissioner of the board, the chief of staff, and the deputy chief of staff of the county, and all other proper officers of the county are hereby authorized jointly and severally to do any and all other things necessary to effectuate the issuance, execution, delivery, and the sale of the notes. Duly enacted and ordained this 20th day of November 2024 by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, in lawful regular session duly assembled. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our attorney, Mr. Brian Kozlansky. I'm sorry. I thought Brian was getting up and talk. CFO Dave Bolzoni.
And Brian is here. I think he's reluctant to come to the podium, though.
Okay.
Will make sense.
We covered this transaction in a significant amount of detail in the work session and at the last meeting, so my comments are really just cursory. This is a cash flow instrument. We're looking at a private placement of this note as a security because we think we can achieve the most favorable yield on that debt. We're expecting the yield range to be between 3.5% and 4%, which is measurably lower than what we would receive through more traditional sources. Again, it's a cash flow instrument. The debt is issued in order to fund the operation of county government until real estate taxes are received. At that point, then, we'll reserve funds for repayment. The repayment of the note would be at the end of December.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bolzoni? Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance has been approved. Thank you. Resolution 24-0286.
This is approving the current payables. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the following payables. Lackawanna County's General Fund, numbers 378067-379379 inclusive, totaling $2,622,563.29. The county's electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $1,011,128.09. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0276.
Mr. Chairman, this is ratifying the countywide burning ban. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby ratify the countywide 30-day burning ban dated November 7th, 2024, with an option to extend for an additional 30 days. Adopted regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our Director of the Emergency Management, Mr. Tom Taylor.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Just to put it in perspective, did some research between October 1st of 2023 and November 20th of 2023. We had 23 brush fires in the county. This year, because of the recent weather, the drought, no rain, we've had 102 brush fires in the same time period. The only thing I would say is don't let the rain fool you. It's still really dry underneath. And I believe if we don't implement this resolution, it's going to be a safety risk to the citizens of the county and also to the firemen that are out there fighting the fires. I know they were on Montage Mountain for 4 or 5 days just with that one alone. So I'd appreciate your support on this.
Absolutely, and they've done, the firemen have done a phenomenal job from all over the county. And I just want to thank the fire chiefs too, and you for staying on top of this. And it's a difficult time, but we have some of the best, I think, in the state and in the country. So
just on that point, we did have over 15 fire chiefs. We had 10 at first, and we now have over 15 fire chiefs that are in support of this.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
Commissioners, just for the record also, this ban is actually in effect under the statute. We were able to implement it as an emergency back on the 7th, so we're just ratifying it at this time. But the burn is actually in effect currently. Yes.
Great.
We do that all on Tommy's birthday today, so happy birthday,
Thank
Tom.
you. Thank
It's your gift for you.
Thanks.
And Tom, you don't want to comment on the impending snowstorm, do you, on Thursday?
An inch to 6?
Wait, are we singing?
Would have been a weatherman.
Are we gonna sing happy birthday?
Oh, no.
No, we don't have to do.
No, all right.
We don't want to embarrass him. Okay, thank you, Tom. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0277.
This is approving an MOU with Marywood University, and be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve memorandum of understanding between the Area Agency on Aging and Marywood University for employees enrolling in the university's Master of Social Work program. The agreement is to commence on January 1st, 2025 and expire December 31st, 2027. Adopted at the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Commissioners, here to speak upon that is the Deputy Director of Aging, Ms. Carrie Anselevich.
Hi, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
We're just asking approval for an agreement with Marywood University. The agreement outlines a special consideration for employees of the AAA enrolling in the Marywood's social work program. The term of the agreement will be for 3 years, January 1st, 2025, ending on December 31st, 2027. The agreement will continue for up to 2 additional years for students who entered the program during the term of the agreement. It gives them time to complete their degree. The Lackawanna County Area Agency on Aging employees will be granted a 25% discount per credit awarded by the university, Marywood University. It is understood that the AAA will also pay 25% of each credit. The employee would be financially responsible for the remaining 50%. The funding outlined to support this MOU will be 100% state funded and doesn't cost, there is no cost to the county.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0278.
This is approving the Area Agency on Aging's contract amendment. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the Area Agency on Aging contract amendment with Interim Healthcare Services Incorporated. It's an amendment to commence on January 1st, 2025 and expire December 31st, 2025. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Once again, here is Deputy Director Anselevich.
Yes, the Area Agency on Aging is requesting a one-time payment of $40,000 for the Older Adult Protective Services Nursing Consultants for services provided beginning January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. The amendment is 100% funded through a grant provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Aging and has no cost to the county.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Thank you very much. Resolution 24-0279.
It's approving provider contract for the Office of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disabilities and Early Intervention. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the provider contracts between the Lackawanna Susquehanna Behavioral Health Intellectual Disabilities Early Intervention Program with Erie County Care Management Incorporated and Katie's Place Clubhouse for fiscal year 24 through 25. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our Director of Behavioral Health, Ms. Mickey Dreschel.
Good morning.
Morning.
We thank you and appreciate the consideration of adding 2 contracts, one with Erie County Case Management, which is now known as ECCM, to provide service coordination to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities within Lackawanna counties. Having this provider will increase choice for families. Currently, we have 2 providers of this service in Lackawanna County. This will come out of our state and federal funding. This will not impact Lackawanna County's budget whatsoever. The second contract that we are asking for is to provide psychiatric rehabilitation services to individuals living with serious mental illness to build social, emotional, and daily living skills along with employment skills to maintain their health and well-being in the community. Again, this contract is for $60,000. This will come at no cost to the county. This comes through our state and federal funding.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mickey? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved.
Thanks.
Thank you. Resolution 24-0280.
Just entering into an MOU with the Outreach Center. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the memorandum of understanding between the Office of Youth and Family Services and the Outreach Center for Community Resources for the Adopt an Angel program. The agreement is to commence November 15, 2024 through January 15, 2025. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Here to speak upon that, Commissioners, is our Assistant Administrator of the Office of Youth and Family Services, Ms. Carrie Browning.
Thank you.
Good morning.
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 This MOU with Outreach is to provide fiscal assistance to our Adopt an Angel program, which provides Christmas gifts for children in the foster care system. It will not exceed $6,272.75. The funding is through donations only and allows Outreach and our agency the flexibility to buy Christmas gifts for children who come into foster care after yesterday's cutoff date.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mrs. Browning? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution is approved. Resolution 24-0281.
Approving the OIFIS professional service agreements. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the Department of Human Services, Office of Youth and Family Services professional service agreements for fiscal year 24 through 25 with the following: Scranton Counseling Center, the Friendship House, the Catherine McCauley Center, and the Agency for Community Empowerment of NEPA. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20, 2024. Mr. Chairman, once again, here is Ms. Browning.
Hi. Okay, so the first is for Scranton Counseling Center. It's for multi-systemic therapy, which is intensive family and community-based treatment to address emotional and behavioral needs of youth. The amount will not exceed $17,500 and is considered bridge funding, not to exceed 30 days while a family transitions to Medicaid to pay for the service, and it's reimbursed at 80% by the state. The next 6 agreements pertain to the BJA Second Chance Grant. This is a 5-year grant that will end on March 31st, 2026. This grant funds the Just Care program for families involved in recovery who have or are at risk of involvement with the criminal justice system and involved with the Office of Youth and Family Services. The following agreements aid with case management, education, and employment training. The first is the Friendship House agreement for $40,000 annually, 100% funded by the grant. The second of the Friendship House agreements is for service and expansion for 4 new staff positions. The cost is $459,454 and is 100% funded through the grant. The next is the Catherine McCauley agreement to assist with housing needs. It's for $35,000 annually and is 100% funded by the grant. The second Catherine McCauley agreement is for $200,000 to assist in housing stability. This is paid through our special grants under housing in our needs-based budget, and it is reimbursed at 85%. The next is the ACE of NEPA agreement, which assists with job readiness and training, employment, and education. The cost is $35,000 per year and is 100% funded through the Second Chance Grant. And finally, the ACE of NEPA agreement for $26,569.50, paid through our special grants in our needs-based budget and reimbursed at 85%.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mrs. Browning? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0282.
This is approving the OIFIS addendum. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approve the Office of Youth and Family Services contract addendums with the Outreach Center for Community Resources for the fiscal year 24 through 25. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20, 2024. Once again, here's Ms. Browning.
This is an addendum to the already approved outreach contract to provide family engagement services to the OYFS families. The contract will not exceed $635,244.70, which is a 13.2% increase, but it's reimbursed at 80% by the state. The second is an addendum to the already approved visitation contract provided by Outreach. The contract will not exceed $829,040.45, which is a 25.8% decrease to this mandated service, and this is reimbursed at 80% by the state.
And can you just give us an example of some of the things that they do outreach, like in terms of these contracts? Like, just talk about the importance of that.
So for the family engagement services, they do crisis and rapid response meetings. They do family group decision-making and family team conferencing. So what that does, it involves professionals meeting with the families and hearing their voice as to what their needs are and trying to plan for either children not to go into foster care, which is the goal, or if they are in foster care, to get them home and reunified faster, or another permanency option like adoption. The longer they stay in out-of-home care, the more cost there is to the county and the taxpayers. And what it does to the family is just awful. So the goal all around is to either find permanency, but it really is reunification. The second is the visitation program. When children are placed in out-of-home care, we are mandated to have them have visitation with their families. And the more visitation that they have leads to better outcomes for the families. So we need help in doing that. Our children are not just placed in foster homes right here in Lackawanna County. They are literally all over the state. So when we have to visit, people have to go get them, bring them here, let them visit, and take them home. It takes a lot of manpower.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mrs. Browning? Thank you.
Sure.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0283.
So approving the OIFIS provider agreements, be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby approved the Department of Human Services Office of Youth and Family Services foster care provider agreements for the fiscal year 24 through 25 with the following: Beth Anna, NET Centers. Adopted a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Lastly, here is Ms. Browning once again.
The first is a purchase of service agreement with Beth Anna, which provides foster care services. Our office has been having a difficult time finding placements for children, so we've had to expand our search. The rate depends on the age and the needs of the child and is only paid for the time period the child resides in the home, and it is reimbursed at 80% by the state. The second is for NET Centers. It's also a purchase of service agreement for foster care. Again, the rates are based on the age and needs of the child on a per diem basis and also reimbursed at 80% by the state.
Thank you. Any questions on this for Mrs. Browning? Okay, thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion?
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved.
Thanks, Gary.
Resolution 24-0284.
This is amending the LSA grant applications, whereas Lackawanna County is interested in promoting economic development and revitalization within Lackawanna County, and whereas Lackawanna County is submitting grant applications to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development through the Monroe County Local Share Grant Program on behalf of the following agencies: St. Anne's Monastery of Scranton, Lackawanna Historical Society, Ballet Theater of Scranton, the Indo-American Community of Scranton, the Everhart Museum, VFW Post 5544 in Jessup, Meals on Wheels of NEPA, Scranton Tennis Club, the Sturgis Iron and Hose Company, the Carbondale Chamber of Commerce, the Connell Park Little League, the Griffin Pond Animal Rescue, the Hospice of the Sacred Heart, HTRC Community Center Incorporated, Lakeland School District, Part 1 and 2, the Carbondale Little League, the Scranton Prep High School, American Legion 328 Archbold, the Archbold Vets Memorial Park, La Festa Italiana, Manuka Athletic Association, the Music Little League St. Mary's Villa, the Lackawanna County Arts and Cultural, the Lackawanna County Coal Mine Tour, the Lackawanna County Covington Park, Lackawanna County Trail Maintenance, the Lackawanna County Merle Sarnofsky Park, the Lackawanna County Electric City Trolley Museum, and finally, the North Scranton Little League. Whereas Lackawanna County hereby authorizes the chairman of the Lackawanna County Board of Commissioners and the Lackawanna County Chief of Staff to sign and authorize all documents and accept any awards related to these Monroe County local share account grants, and authorizes the submission of these applications to the Monroe County Local Share Account Grant Program. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20, 2024. Mr. Chairman, here to speak upon that is our Director of Economic Development, Ms. Chrisman McNada.
Thanks, Chief. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is not a new group of LSA Monroe grantees. This is merely an amendment to the resolution that was requested by Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development that to include both signatories for these grants. Previously, it was only the chairman, yourself, Commissioner Gaughan, and now it must be through Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, both the chairman as well as our grants manager, Sandy Ibshinsky. So I'm asking for this resolution.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for Director Magnata? All right, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. Resolution 24-0285.
This is entering into an MOU with the City of Scranton. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County is hereby enter into a memorandum of understanding with the City of Scranton for the implementation of the 2024 Bernie Justice Assistance Grant Program for the Scranton Police Department in the amount of $47,699, adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County held on November 20th, 2024. Mr. Chairman, this grant from the JAG program will enable the City of Scranton to put police officers in high-risk neighborhoods for the fiscal year 24 through 25.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions on this? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the resolution has been approved. That concludes the business portion of the meeting, and now we'll have an opportunity for the public to address the board.
Commissioners, Bob Bolus. What I heard here today, all due respect to Mr. Bozzoni, I didn't hear him say anything about the University of Scranton, Marywood, the rectories being taxed, getting rid of the tax exemption because the reasons behind it are valid. I didn't hear him bring anything like that up, or any other of the nonprofits. We're not being examined. University makes millions and millions of dollars, yet we're giving it away to them and taking it from the people. They violated the rule of God, and therefore they should be punished. It's as simple as that. The same for the Marywood. I didn't hear any of that brought up. You have a strong relationship with Biden. He calls Scranton his hometown. Why don't you just give him a call and tell him send us several $1 million here to pay off where we are, put us even again. We're sending billions and billions of dollars to all the foreign countries that we all put uniforms on to protect this country. And he's giving it all away. So maybe you could ask him, since you've had pictures with him, you're instrumental making him his street for him, an expressway, Interstate 81, total embarrassment to all of us. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's not the coward. Biden is, because he walked away from the people. Okay? Maybe he'll give you the money. Ask him. You're on a first-name basis. And bail the city out. You know, we're going to get hit with a tax increase, a reassessment, school tax, high cost of living here, and everything else is going on. And you're going to destroy this county. Mr. Bozzoni, all due respect to him, if he were in one of my companies, he wouldn't be there because he didn't look at everything. We don't play politics in the real world. We try to survive. Maybe this is going to a train. We're spending billions of dollars. We're going to bring them here to Scranton. Where are they going to make money? What's going to change Scranton around when we turn it into a ghost town? Somebody explain that to me. How's the train going to make us better? I haven't heard that at all from anybody. but yet we're talking about millions of dollars for a train when you can jump in a car and get here 10 times faster with all the stops it's going to make. It's a joke. You know, what about taking on NAOG? You were involved with the city when I raised the issues about the parking for Geisinger up there, and you voted that down, and then you increased taxes. When I said Geisinger should be paying $5-6 million a year to park at NAOG at the same rate that you would park in a parking garage. Let the county take it over. That's a reduction to the city. It's a reduction to the people in Lackawanna County. I didn't hear anybody bring that up. I didn't see anybody think outside the box. All I saw is everybody in a narrow channel talking about this, that, and the other, and how it hammers the people in this community. When you turn around, I heard you say sharpen your pencil. We in the real world, in the transportation industry, we use a sharp pencil because we don't have a way to tax people. We don't have anywhere else to go to make it happen. So if we were using a sharp pencil here, you think outside the box. You have the single tax building, sell it. We need a hole in the head. Okay, these are some of the things Mr. Bozzoni should have brought up. Other issues, other things here that should have been brought out. And last, you know, I've said what I wanted to say. I think you need to take on all the nonprofits and make some money here. And I think, in all due respect, you owe Commissioner Chermak an apology for calling him a coward. Because if I were sitting in that seat and you called me a coward, we'd have a different outcome.
Thanks, Bob.
That's great, thanks. You're real tough. Sir, would you like to come up? Does somebody want to just hand him one of the microphones, one of the desk ones? Sir, we can just hand you the mic if that's better.
Okay, that's fine with me. Mike Rozak, Scranton. I'm here, obviously, I'm got a disability at the moment, and even when I get rid of this one, I had some others. I'm a senior citizen. I'm wondering if I am going to expire when I go out and I have to wait for Colts to come and pick me up. I moved here 18 years ago. The service stank then. It's atrocious now. They have senior citizens standing outside waiting to get picked up. They're short drivers. They've been short for 18 years. We need drivers with CDLs. Maybe we can get the county school to find an accredited driving school and enter into some kind of partnership to train people to get CDLs so we can have drivers. Right now, the wonderful system that PennDOT was kind enough to drop on every county for their shared ride programs is kind of inefficient. When they put too many things in, it sends people to strange places. I went home to North Scranton from Dixon City by way of Scott Township. I was out on election day, not by choice. I had a doctor's appointment. Decided to go to the dispensary down on Davis Street. You have a half-hour window that they can pick you up before and after. So sometimes you get to where you're going before your actual scheduled arrival time. And with Coach, you have to be wherever you go for a minimum of an hour. I got down to the doctor. I had a 9:15 appointment, as I recall. My return then would have been between 10:15, 10:45. They picked me up shortly after 10:30. I got down to Davis Street, in and out of the dispensary, 11 o'clock. I called the office to see if I could get a ride home early. They told me, just keep your eyes open. Code 4, we really don't want to tell you, but forget about it. I got picked up at 12:37, and then we proceeded to pick up two people in their 90s who decided they had to go out to vote. I hope they both made it home. They were a married couple. It would be a shame if one of them was left for the coroner's wagon, you know? And I was out last week, and I had a return time of 12 to 12:30, and when I called at 12:40 to ask where my ride is, they told me my time had been changed from 12:15 to 12:45. Now, one of the things they really wanted to do is cut down on the calls coming into the office. But if everybody who's out there waiting for their ride to arrive has now had their wait time extended by 15 minutes that they are totally unaware of, they're going to be calling the office. Another suggestion, get one of the lovely colleges to make a program so that text alerts can be sent out from Colts when they do this type of thing to the people that are waiting outside. I'm going to the board meeting this afternoon, so I don't want you to think I'm just coming here to complain. But you guys appoint the board of directors. I'd like to know, do any of you have personal knowledge of the last time any one of the board of directors rode a bus? Is anyone of the board of directors a senior citizen who has to wait for a van? And by the way, when you go to the supermarket, do you see any place for senior citizens to be standing around waiting for a van? I was at Wegmans last Tuesday waiting to go home when the van arrived with 4 people with walkers. And I'm wondering, when they get done and they have to wait their minimum, or, well, not their minimum, but what might be anywhere from 1 minute to 45 minutes, and God knows, maybe more, where are they standing?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bill, if I may, 1 second, I still had some time left.
No, you're done. You're done. You have no time left. You're done. No, sit down. Sit down, I'll have you removed. Sit down, Mr. Bolles. Mr. Bolles, Mr. Bolles, sit down.
We're
You
donating
don't have
out
more
turkeys.
time.
This is for the, I still had time before.
You don't have more time. I'm going to ask you one more time, or you're
That's
going to
it,
be
I'm
removed.
leaving anyway. I'm donating turkeys with the Masons and myself.
Well, that's great. That makes you a great
Saturday.
person.
You're
Thank
not
you.
interested,
Yep.
too bad.
Okay, great. It's just unbelievable. Sir?
I just had a.
Excuse me 1 second. Mr. Bolles, wait, this man's trying to speak. Find your way to the door.
I just wanted to take some time to correct a few things, and I had a few questions, and like you guys, they're rhetorical questions, so I don't really need the answers. I just would like them on the record. You know, Miss Senator, I'm giving you
Senator, that'd be nice.
Senator, yeah, I'm giving you a promotion here. Commissioner McGloin, you had mentioned, you know, when you ran for office that you were going to lower taxes, and I was just kind of wondering if that was a lie, you know, but just kidding around here. Just have to throw that out here.
You heard what I said earlier, right?
Pardon me?
Were you listening to what I said earlier?
Yes, I
Thank you.
was. Yeah. But that didn't work out. But, you know, I have
You
to.
know why. You're a financial expert.
Yes.
Thank you. So you know why. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I do know why. It's because you're taking the easy way out. But anyway, you know, I have to wonder what's going to happen next year. I brought that up before, you know. What are we going to do next year after this 33% is done? Another matter that was brought to my attention, you know, we're paying like bills on a one-time basis that wasn't brought up, $26 million on this one-time basis that you guys failed to mention. You know, you said about using funds from here and there from the OFS and everything. Commissioner Gaughan, you had said you cut 90 positions, but what you failed to tell everybody, they were part-time positions, and they were unfilled positions at that. So that was the same conclusion we came to, by the way. You know, we had those in ours. You know, will we reduce taxes and that? OIFS, that's the last thing I wanted to look at. The budget is $1.3 million. You know, is that really transparent? We don't know where that money's going to or how it's going. I'm not saying it's not an important area. It's one of the most important areas. But what we were saying is, I don't know exactly what happened. There was something that happened in there and some kind of crime or whatever. I don't know anything much about it. But all I know is positions were eliminated at the time, and they have people in there that are paraprofessional people. And that's why we address that. We were never saying we're going to cut those out and get rid of them. That was never the intent. And furthermore, with the use of the monies, I understand what you're saying. I don't like that kick the can down the line either. I don't like using those monies and keep on doing that every single year. But the fact of the matter is, this is one time. You've had some incredible experts, and no offense to your CFO, but our gentleman has been auditing this county for years with his company. He knows a lot about what he's doing. You guys were given a gift. You were given some very brilliant people, except maybe myself. Maybe I wasn't as brilliant as they were, but nonetheless, they could have helped us to get this thing together, to kick it down the line. And one of the things that he brought up, Preate brought up, was that we could have increased the millage for this year. And no, we're not kicking it down the line. We want to do something about it. We want to help you to get this thing under control. If we increase the millage, we could have carried it over to next year. And by the way, yes, PFM did not finish their budgetary work and drill down into these things. And by the way, when you guys say that you were transparent and you met with all these heads, all you did is met for a couple minutes and said, oh, give me your bottom line.
That's not, sir, that's not true. I
Well,
sat at the table with them. No, that's incorrect,
I have
but go
inside
ahead.
information that you met with them
you have
for just
inside
a few
information.
minutes.
Financial
There's
expert
no
who
way
puts
you
his
can
name on
drill
a fake
down in.
budget. You want to call me a liar? Sit down, Len.
Yeah, well, I still have time on the thing here. But the bottom line is, excuses keep people where they're at. You don't care about these people. You're both ignorant to everybody that got up here. You're the rudest people. And guys, you should just vote them out next year. They're worthless.
Happy Thanksgiving, Len.
We have 3 years left, but okay. Would anyone else like to speak? Ma'am? Sir, whoever wants to get up.
Hi, again, I'm Rebecca Stokes. Tyler Technologies, we're paying them quite a bit of money to do a job here. And what I've noticed on some of our properties is that they're using very old pictures on these papers they're sending with inaccurate information. And then they want us to correct a lot of the information and say whether this is correct, that's correct, how many bathrooms, how many. So why are we, as taxpayers, doing their jobs? Okay, I've never seen a Tyler person, not yet. A lot of our properties are inaccurate, with pictures even. So are they really going out and currently taking their job seriously and doing it? Or what are we paying them to do? Secondly, you know, like I said, I believe we could make some cuts. How about, do we really, I mean, the parks are great in Scranton. Yes, we've done a great job with the parks. But if we're talking about people's livelihoods at a 33% increase, why can't we cut some of those unnecessary things? Do we really, really need, I mean, we could potentially cut some park and recreation. You know, I hate to do that. The theater, you know, North Scranton Theater, it's a beautiful place, but there's certain things that we could potentially look at and say, are these necessities for people to, you know, do we need to really give funds, and do we need to allocate certain monies to these things when they're not necessity? Okay? Food, shelter, they're necessities. safety is a necessity. So we really need to really look at the fundamentals of what we're giving our monies to. And, you know, I think we could do a better job with that if we could cut this down. There's ways to do it. And we you know, need to take it seriously. Thank you, Commissioner Chermak, for your 6%.
I want to, you know, thanks for reminding me too, because I did want to mention that today with the Tyler Technologies out traveling all through the county doing their appraisals on all the properties. So I'm urging everyone, and I know a lot of them have already noticed, but pretty much every day I get a phone call or an email that they had an appraisal done that came in the mail. It's the wrong address, it's the wrong picture of the house, it's the wrong this, it's the wrong that. So everyone needs to take a real hard look at the paper that comes, because that's your chance to have the corrections made so you don't have to necessarily have a hearing, because hearings are going to be crazy when this whole thing starts. So it's very important for people to take a look at that. I know I did mention that to Jeff Horvath from the newspaper. I know he's going to, you know, maybe put something out so people are aware of that, but that's important. So thanks for bringing that up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, the reason some of the things are off, and it's a very small percentage, because I've been down to the assessor's office just this week. It's a very small percentage. The reason they're off is they're not allowed inside the house. Unless the owners of the house invite them in, sometimes the inside of the house, 2 baths, a bath and a half, you know, the downstairs is redone. It's not showing up in their assessments. Mine isn't either. But, you know, it's because they're not allowed inside the house.
Okay. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board?
Jeff Moran from Scranton, Pennsylvania. As a member of Katie's Place Clubhouse, I want to thank you for passing that reform.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Sir?
Joe Titino from Old Forge, Pennsylvania. I brought up a question before about getting some income. Josh Shapiro was here last week, gave $5 million Fidelity Bank to Electric City building to refurbish it or whatever. Did any of you guys get a chance to talk to them, especially the Democrats, and tell them the position of our county, talk to the governor, and find out what he could do to help us, maybe some kind of a loan? He has boatfuls of cash that he's given out to everybody. Why can't he help us out? Did you guys think about going to Shapiro, talking to him? Did anybody do that, yes or no?
We have talked to the governor, but that's not how that works. Like, the governor's not going to write a check to help a county with their financial problems. The money goes towards programs or projects, but the counties throughout Pennsylvania have financial issues. He'd be writing an awful lot of checks. That's not how it works.
And he'd have to write them every year.
What was that?
And he'd have to write them every year, too, right?
Okay, the other question I have is this lottery business. All the money that we take in the Pennsylvania lottery, when they started it, they said it's supposed to help senior citizens. You told me at the last meeting you're buying buses with that. How many buses can you buy with millions and millions of dollars that are collected in these lottery things? Where does that money go? I don't see it on my taxes that it's reduced. Senior citizens were supposed to get tax relief from the lottery. Where is the money going? Can you find that out? Shapiro know? Who has that money?
Yeah, that part of that helps fund our aging department from the state. So some of that money goes towards our area agency on aging. I'm not an expert on the program, so I don't know where else the money
Yeah, but we're
goes.
talking millions and millions of dollars. Isn't it supposed to be for tax relief on our taxes?
I don't know.
Well, can you find out? Somebody find out?
I'll call the governor up after the meeting.
What was that? I still don't know what you said.
He said it's for programming, it's not for tax relief.
Well, what is the money for? What do we do with that money? I thought it was for the elderly. Just the aging gets all the money? Like, how do they get it? How come we don't get it? We're all senior citizens. How come we're not entitled to any of that money? We should be.
I think that's a question, I think that's a question
And
for the
did you
state
guys
lottery.
look outside the box for all the nonprofits? We're talking University of Scranton, we're talking Marywood, churches I can see. But how many nonprofits are out there? You should know who they are, that aren't contributing to the tax base. They should be. You should be looking at that as a revenue source. University of Scranton should be assessed and pay some money. I understand that your donations. How much of a donation is it? Can they pay more? Can anybody of these nonprofits come and help us? Did you approach these nonprofits, tell them the position we're in, and ask them to help us? Did you do that?
So the city of Scranton is conducting, I think, an analysis now, right, Attorney
That is-
Frederickson? And reassessment will take care of that issue. Correct? Am I correct in saying that?
That is correct, yes.
Because they're taking all these properties off the tax rolls. The tuition, $75,000 a year, they're charging for dormitories and all. They're making money on the expense of the senior citizens. That's uncalled for, not justified. You have to go after them. They have the money, they can afford to give the city fire, police, protection, everything that they get. What are they, how come they're not paying for it? Tell me why. It's not right. That's where you should be looking for the money. These nonprofits out there are taken off the tax rolls, and we have to suffer. So, and they have the money to do it, believe me. Look at the tuitions when you go to the University of Scranton. Take a look at their bankroll. How many more buildings they're going to buy and how many more buildings they're going to put up. Right? I'm right on this. You should check that out.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? Sir?
Russell from Carbondale. Can you answer any of you answer what percentage of the property tax payers are delinquent?
I would say probably about 10%. It's about 10%.
That's what I figured as well, 10%. So 10% of 107 million, that's $1,070,000. Just for those three millages. Remember those three millages that I said earlier? The millage for property tax, library tax, county education, and cultural tax. Again, numbers don't seem to add up here. With what you say the budget is versus what is being brought in, just from those three millages alone, based on $1.58 billion worth of real estate for the entire county. I think there needs to be some real hard look at money out versus money in quite a bit. And I don't understand why. Is the chief financial officer still here?
No, I don't see him.
Okay. So how would I go about getting those answers about the budget? Answers for the budget.
Sir, if you put any questions that you have, just email us and we will.
I did before this meeting and I didn't get a response.
When did you email us? Specific questions?
Last week, yep.
Well, I didn't get an email from you. But if you put your questions.
I don't want to name names who I sent it to. But,
Oh, okay. But if you put your send it to our chief of staff and we will answer whatever questions you have.
What about, I didn't hear any discussion about bankruptcy being an option.
Yeah, bankruptcy is not an option.
It's not why is it not an option?
Well, I don't know all the details on it, on bankruptcy, but I just know from when I was on council, it's a lot more complex than you would think. County government just can't go bankrupt. Don, I don't know if you know anything about it, but it's not like we can declare bankruptcy. There's a lot of
Well, the short answer is, Commissioners, if we were to declare bankruptcy, a trustee would be appointed and they would come in and they would just raise taxes. That's how they're going to pay for it, because at the end of the day, that's how government pays its bills, is through taxes. So.
Right. Which is what I was talking about earlier about state receivership.
Okay.
Again, you were saying, you meaning Mr. Commissioner Gaughan, you were saying 37 million in the budget deficit?
Yeah, that was the deficit that we started with.
Okay, but yet there's still 250 million in debt for the county.
Well, that's
that's what's posted.
That's long-term debt.
Right. So
this is we're talking about a structural deficit.
Right. So if 33% increase is not going to resolve the 250 million, then where are you going with this? Where you're still kicking the can down the road. So why aren't you looking seriously at a bankruptcy situation? Because we citizens can't keep bailing this county out for misuse of funds. It's ridiculous. I don't get where you're going with it, is what I'm saying. Well, 33% now, but then, and that doesn't resolve the $250 million in old debt. It just doesn't make sense. Where are you going with it? We can't absorb, we citizens can't absorb increase after increase.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for getting rid of the medical building. Thank you so much for that. I owe Melissa Steininger from WNEP an apology, apparently, because she's a new person here. And she's only been with WNEP for 1 year. And also ECTV, you were not included in that. You're always exempt from the media. But as for the rest, that stands. Sorry. So I do agree with this gentleman about bankruptcy, how it goes. But, you know, I've been coming to these meetings since 2003, and every single administration since Cardero has done the same thing. Cut everything, sell off properties, close nursing homes, cut the budgets everywhere they could. We sold off we got rid of 13 buildings and put them all in one to save on those rents. One of them mentioned the Electric City building that's been bought by one of the banks. It's an ongoing problem, and it's a hard job. You guys have a hard job. Every single day you have to be doing your budgets, every single day. And I know that you guys have gotten bombarded with questions and everything. I've seen what you've been doing, so I appreciate the work you put into it. I don't want the 33% tax increase. I think I would have done something different. I don't know what. I did have plans, but there is good news. There's an election next year. So next year, you can go to every single elected official is in this building. For the people out there, every single elected official is in this one building. You can go up and down the floors in this county and meet with every single department and every single elected official and ask them what they're doing with their budgets, because they are the ones that are putting all this money together for these guys to vote on every single meeting. They vote on what they're going to implement and what they're going to pass. So there are programs that you might not agree with that you think you should come in and talk about, but I'm glad that people are actually attending these meetings so they can hear where all this money is going. And I have items that I never agreed with, but you're stuck with everything now, sorry to say, but I would have cut a lot of this stuff out already. And I hope that you get some success in whatever you're doing, and I hope that you listen to some of the cuts that were offered for the following budget and that you can sustain it where it's at. Good luck with that. I do wish you well. I don't ever want to wish anybody bad luck with doing their job. And as I said, there was a mandate, and I've brought a little map for ECTV. I think they could take a picture of it. This was what just happened in our elections. A mandate was made. The people said, we've had enough. From both parties. That goes to both parties, not just one. And, you know, everybody has to do what they can do to help out on their end. And I think that you guys are really going to have a hard job ahead of you, but I wish you luck in anything I can do, or any advice or anything that you would ask me, I would be happy to let you know. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board?
I just want to finish what I was saying. This is Linda again. We have Thanksgiving this month, a holiday to give thanks and be grateful for who and what we have in our lives. And Christmas is next month. This miraculous holiday is to show love and cherish one another as sisters and brothers in Christ. So I want to take the time out to thank all three of you commissioners and all your staff and wish everybody a wonderful, blessed holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay. Before we get to, what do you think, Pat? Should we do this now or should we wait? 5 minutes? Yeah, okay, yeah. So Pat McKenna is going to come up. He is our communications director. And before we get to Commissioner's other business, he is going to explain a really good program that we were involved in, where we're trying to highlight the county, and he will say this loud and clear that this was at no cost to the county. So, Mr. McKenna?
Good afternoon at this point. This is at no cost to the county. This is a project that the county launched in the spring with the contractor CGI of Rochester, New York. It's a video series featuring various aspects of county life, not the government, but the county as a broader entity. There are 7 videos now live on our website that anyone can access from the home page. And we're just going to show you 2 of them today. They're about a little over a minute each. So Kristen, if you want to cue it up and
hills and vibrant green landscapes, marked by thriving communities. This county combines natural beauty with a rich history. Home to the bustling city of Scranton and charming towns like Dunmore and Clark Summit, Old Forge, Moscow, and Carbondale. Lackawanna County offers a high quality of life with cozy neighborhoods and excellent schools and abundant recreational opportunities. Discover a wealth of history, from the storied past of coal mining to innovative advances that shaped the industrial age. As we look toward a promising future, the county is invested in economic development and cultural enrichment, making it a perfect place to live, work, and visit. Come be a part of Lackawanna County. Your chapter, one of new adventures and memories, waits to be written.
it's the general welcome video. We're going to show one on the tourism piece.
Fans can catch the excitement of the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders ball game. Outdoor adventure awaits at Montage Mountain Resorts, offering skiing, a water park, and year-round events. The nearby pavilion at Montage Mountain offers top-tier music and multi-day festivals. Embark on a journey back in time to the Steamtown National Historic Site or the Electric City Trolley Museum. Runners can enjoy the Steamtown Marathon, the Scranton Half Marathon, or the nostalgic Office 5K, a tribute to the beloved TV show. Explore the natural beauty and engaging activities that dot our landscape, from the whimsical Electric City Aquarium to family favorites like Roba Family Farms and the Lackawanna Coal Mine Tour. From gorgeous Moffett Estate to the vibrant Clark Summit Festival of Ice, every visit is a chapter that awaits. In Lackawanna County, history, nature, and culture converge, inviting you to be a part of our vibrant tapestry.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Thank you. Videos are on arts and culture, education, economic development, and features on certain towns. And just to thank, this is a collaborative effort among a lot of people. I just want to thank especially the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, Simplex Homes, photographer Chris Dolan of the Times Tribune, Chris Bolton of ECTV, and our own departments of county of parks and recreation, especially the coal mine tour staff, planning and economic development, and arts and culture. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I want to thank Mr. McKenna and Kristen O'Malley for spearheading this entire thing. It's really great for the county, so thank you so much. All right, Commissioners, other business. Commissioner Chermak?
Well, I know we've heard some pretty compelling remarks from everyone. However, to me, this massive tax increase is unacceptable. And we're even considering it again before PFM has finished what they were trying to do. We paid them over $250,000 to do this. I'd rather wait until they have their work completed. If you want to choose to ignore me, that's absolutely up to you. And it is time to think outside the box. If we're serious about making every tax dollar count, we can't just stop at oversight. And that's why I'm going to plan on putting together a citizens committee to look over the county financing. It's going to be open to any resident of Lackawanna County. All they have to do is call my office. Hopefully, in my long-term vision, it turns into a formal commission that's dedicated to the responsible use of taxpayer dollars. So we'll start with the volunteer group. The other issue, we saw it again today, the bullying and intimidation tactics I've seen in this administration targeting the public, targeting me, it's ridiculous. It's shameful. It's unacceptable. We're here to lead, not intimidate or belittle. Let's be clear, name-calling, threats, and attempts to silence those who speak up have no place in government. I won't stoop to that level, but I'm not going to ignore it. The citizens of Lackawanna County deserve leaders who set an example, not those who create a hostile environment. This behavior will not be tolerated, and I will keep pushing back as long as I have a voice to represent the people here in Lackawanna County.
Thank you. Commissioner McGloin?
You're right. It's probably easier just to take to social media than, discussing things here in an open public meeting. And I actually thought you had a citizens committee, Chris. That's what you put together to put forth this fake budget with fake numbers, and you still couldn't get it down to zero. You still had a tax increase in it. That's how bad that it actually is.
Just
fake number. I'm talking. You had your time to talk, Chris. I'm talking fake numbers, fake budget. Still incapable of getting it down to zero. But the tower lighting is next Wednesday night, I believe, at 6 p.m. So hoping. It's a great turnout. Hoping to see everybody there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we've addressed the budget, so I'm not going to go through everything again. But just real quick, the CFO stood up here and said that Commissioner Chermak's proposal was not viable. End of story, case closed. Yesterday, we met with Mr. Bolzoni again to go through it, and he said very clearly that the numbers were off by millions of dollars, huge mistakes all over the place, and there would be, under no circumstances could we implement his plan because it would set us back years and years and years and years. So the bottom line here, folks, is our own CFO stood up here today and put the closing remarks on this whole case, which is his proposal is outlandish, outrageous, and the numbers are off by millions of dollars. And in saying that, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
On the question, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.